Most Americans over 50 assume the middle seat is the biggest challenge in the sky, but the truth starts much earlier, at booking screens, gate counters, and policies written by people who never stop to consider aging bodies, slower joints, or the simple need for stability. The hidden way an airline operates can quietly shape your entire trip, turning what should be a hopeful journey into one that leaves you sore, frustrated, or questioning whether flying is still worth it. Some carriers don't just overlook senior needs, they make the process feel rushed, confusing, or dismissive, and most travelers don't realize it until they're already strapped in with no way out. Meet Eldric Rowan, 69, a soft-voiced photographer from Phoenix who finally stepped back into travel after years of putting adventures on hold. He packed lightly, planned carefully, and carried the quiet excitement of someone ready to reclaim a part of life he thought he'd lost. But from the moment he checked in, things felt off. Not dramatic, not catastrophic. Just small moments of disregard that built up mile by mile, moments that reminded him aging travelers aren't always seen, much less supported. Eldric's journey revealed 5 types of airlines that consistently create stress for travelers over 50, patterns you can recognize before you click confirm. And once you spot them, you'll protect your comfort, your confidence, and every trip you deserve to enjoy. Airline 1, the seat-switching airline. Flying after 50 comes with its own set of challenges, and one of the most frustrating experiences for seniors is having your carefully selected seat reassigned without warning. This airline is a textbook example of how seemingly small policies can create big problems for older travelers. You might book an aisle seat weeks ahead, paying extra for comfort, only to arrive at the gate and find it gone. Even when a seat is confirmed online, the airline system may quietly reassign it due to operational decisions, overbookings, or hidden algorithms that prioritize efficiency over human comfort. The warning signs are there if you know where to look. Passenger reviews often mention lost seat assignments, complaints about paid seats disappearing, or experiences of being shuffled to a middle seat at the last minute. These reviews are especially telling when they come from travelers over 50, who rely on aisle access, legroom, and proximity to restrooms for health and mobility. Eldric Rowan, 69, a soft-spoken photographer from Phoenix, knows this experience all too well. He had planned every detail of his trip, selecting an aisle seat so he could stretch his legs, protect his knees, and have easy access to the restroom. He even paid a small premium because he knew it would make a long flight manageable. But when he arrived at the gate, he was told, "We had to move you for operational reasons," and handed a middle seat wedged between 2 strangers. At first, Eldric tried to stay calm, telling himself it was just a minor inconvenience. But as the flight progressed, the consequences became painfully clear. His legs cramped, his back ached, and every attempt to shift or stretch risked disturbing his seatmates. What should have been a simple, relaxing flight quickly became a source of stress and physical discomfort, demonstrating how critical a reliable seat assignment is for seniors. Comfort at this stage of life is not a luxury. It is essential for maintaining circulation, preventing stiffness, and avoiding lingering pain that can last for days. Losing a seat that was carefully chosen can make the difference between arriving refreshed and ready to enjoy your destination, or exhausted, sore, and frustrated. Eldric's experience highlights a simple truth. Some airlines do not adequately consider the needs of older passengers. A single seat reassignment might seem trivial to a younger traveler, but for seniors, it can trigger a cascade of discomfort, reduce mobility, and even increase the risk of injury during the flight. To protect yourself, pay attention to the airline's history with seat assignments. Look for repeated reviews from older travelers mentioning reassigned or lost seats. Check if the airline offers clear guarantees for pre-selected or premium seats, and don't hesitate to call directly to confirm your assignment. Eldric learned that meticulous planning isn't always enough. Choosing an airline that values senior comfort and communicates clearly can prevent hours of unnecessary physical strain and emotional stress. Recognizing these patterns before you book is crucial, because once the seat is gone, there's little you can do except endure the discomfort. A flight that should be a part of your adventure instead becomes a test of patience, flexibility, and endurance. Eldric's story is a reminder that after 50, your comfort is a necessity, not a luxury, and paying attention to these subtle warning signs can transform your flying experience from exhausting to manageable and even enjoyable. Airline 2, the unreliable assistance airline. For many seniors, flying isn't just about navigating lines and finding seats, it's about having the support you need to move safely and confidently through busy terminals. One type of airline that consistently frustrates older travelers is what we can call the unreliable assistance airline. These are carriers that advertise mobility help or wheelchair services, but in reality, the support is inconsistent, understaffed, or outsourced to contractors who are not properly trained to assist seniors with patience and care. If you want to spot this type of airline before booking, there are subtle but important signs to watch for. First, vague language in the airline's information is a red flag. Phrases like assistance available without clear details on timing, procedures, or protocols often indicate that support is more of a promise than a service. Next, passenger reviews can be revealing, especially those from older travelers. Long waits for wheelchairs or escorts, missed pickups, or accounts of being left alone in hallways or stairwells are all warning signs. Finally, ask about staffing. Airlines that outsource assistance frequently have crews unfamiliar with handling older passengers' mobility challenges or those who require extra time. Eldric Rowan, 69, learned the importance of reliable assistance the hard way. On a domestic connection, he witnessed a woman in her late 60s stranded near a stairwell. Her wheelchair had not arrived, and staff were nowhere in sight. She tried to hide her frustration behind a polite smile, clearly uncomfortable and embarrassed as she waited, unsure of what to do next. Eldric watched quietly, feeling a knot of concern in his stomach. She wasn't asking for luxury or preferential treatment, she simply needed the help she had requested and was promised. This small moment stayed with him because it highlighted how airlines can make even short walks through terminals into stressful, unsafe experiences for seniors. The consequences of unreliable assistance are more than inconvenient. Long waits can lead to fatigue, stiff joints, and swelling, which are common concerns for travelers over 50. Rushing to catch a gate without proper support can cause falls or strained muscles, turning a simple airport journey into a risk to one's health. Even moments of embarrassment, such as being left alone in a crowded terminal, have a real emotional cost. Seniors often plan meticulously to maintain independence, and when an airline fails to provide dependable help, it undermines both confidence and well-being. Eldric realized that the airlines with unreliable assistance do not just create temporary discomfort, they force seniors to expend extra energy navigating challenges that could have been avoided, often leaving them drained before the flight even takes off. To avoid this type of airline, start by reading reviews that specifically mention assistance for older travelers. Look for patterns, repeated complaints about missed wheelchairs, delays in escorts, or lack of trained staff are strong warning signals. When booking, call the airline directly and ask about their procedures for seniors with mobility needs. How far in advance should you request assistance? How is it coordinated at connecting airports? Do staff members receive specific training for older passengers? Airlines that cannot answer these questions clearly should be approached with caution. Eldric learned that proactive questions and research can make all the difference. Choosing an airline with a dependable assistance program transforms the airport experience from stressful and physically demanding into manageable and reassuring. Seniors deserve to travel with dignity, and reliable assistance is a crucial part of that. A flight that begins with stress and uncertainty in the terminal sets the tone for the entire journey. But with the right airline, Eldric discovered, the journey can start with calm, confidence, and safety, letting travelers focus on the adventure ahead rather than the obstacles along the way. Airline 3, the outdated aircraft airline. Flying after 50 isn't just about getting from point A to point B, it's about arriving in one piece, without unnecessary strain, fatigue, or discomfort. One of the easiest ways to spot potential trouble before booking is to pay close attention to the aircraft itself. Routes served mostly by older planes, stiff overhead bins, cramped lavatories, uneven or dim lighting, and noisy engines are clear signs that the airline may not prioritize the needs of older travelers. Eldric Rowan, 69, a photographer from Phoenix, learned this the hard way. Excited to return to the skies after years of waiting, he boarded a plane that immediately felt outdated. The lighting was harsh in some areas and dim in others, making reading or adjusting his camera equipment difficult. The overhead bins were stiff, positioned at a height that required a full stretch of his shoulder and back just to store his carry-on. As he lifted the bag, he felt a sharp twinge in his shoulder that lingered throughout the flight. The engines roared with a low, constant vibration that aggravated his tinnitus, giving him a dull, persistent headache. Every inch of the cabin, from worn armrests to narrow aisles and uncomfortable tray tables, felt as though it had been designed decades ago, with no consideration for the comfort or mobility of older passengers. For seniors, these features are far from minor inconveniences. Tight seating, stiff overhead bins, loud engines, and dim lighting can amplify joint pain, fatigue, and stress over the course of the flight. Even seemingly simple actions, like lifting a bag into the bin, reaching for a personal item, reading a book, or adjusting a camera, require extra effort, which quickly adds up, leaving travelers drained long before the plane even lands. Eldric noticed that younger passengers often shrugged off these discomforts, assuming they were minor, but for travelers over 50, every small strain affects circulation, energy, and overall well-being. It's not just about short-term pain either. Repeated flights under these conditions can aggravate chronic joint issues, worsen back or shoulder discomfort, and even affect balance and mobility after landing. Recognizing an outdated aircraft before booking can make all the difference in the quality of your trip. Start by checking the aircraft type for your route. Websites and apps that track plane models and seat maps can show whether older jets are being used and give a sense of how cramped or outdated the cabins might be. Read reviews from older travelers specifically commenting on comfort, accessibility, legroom, lighting, and noise. Don't hesitate to contact the airline directly to ask about the age of the aircraft and whether any upgrades or modifications have been made to improve senior comfort. Eldric learned that being proactive in this way allowed him to plan better, pack lighter, and prepare his body for what the flight might demand physically. With this knowledge, seniors can transform potentially exhausting flights into manageable, even comfortable, experiences. Choosing the right aircraft can preserve energy, protect joints, and reduce stress, ensuring that you arrive at your destination ready to enjoy the trip rather than paying a hidden price in fatigue, soreness, and frustration caused by older cabins. Eldric's experience is a clear reminder: after 50, the design and condition of the plane matter as much as the route or price, and recognizing the signs of outdated aircraft is essential for safe, comfortable, and enjoyable travel. Airline 4, the Poor Delay Support Airline. For travelers over 50, delays aren't just inconvenient. They can quickly become physically exhausting and even risky if the airline doesn't provide proper support. One type of airline that seniors should approach with caution is what we can call the Poor Delay Support Airline. These carriers often fail to manage the chaos that comes with flight delays, leaving passengers stranded in crowded terminals with minimal assistance. Look for repeated mentions in reviews of disappearing staff, useless vouchers, or waiting areas that are overcrowded and poorly maintained. If seniors find themselves standing for long stretches, navigating tight crowds, or scrambling for a spot to sit, these are clear warning signs. Eldric Rowan, 69, experienced this firsthand during a domestic flight. A mechanical issue grounded his plane for over 3 hours, and airline staff seemed to vanish. Announcements were sporadic, and little guidance was offered about how long passengers might be waiting. Eldric found himself pacing, stretching, occasionally leaning against a wall for support, and watching other seniors struggle with luggage or mobility issues. Chairs in the waiting area were limited, and the airline's so-called vouchers for food or drinks were small, inconsistent, and insufficient, leaving older travelers without proper sustenance during the long wait. Standing for hours, Eldric felt fatigue settling in, his legs swelling slightly, and a dull tension creeping into his back. A flight delay isn't just a schedule problem, it's a physical and mental challenge, especially for travelers over 50. For seniors, the consequences of poor delay management extend beyond discomfort. Long periods of standing can worsen circulation issues, swelling in the legs and feet, and joint stiffness, while limited seating prevents proper rest. Fatigue accumulates quickly, dehydration becomes a risk, and the stress of uncertainty adds an emotional toll, leaving older travelers tense and anxious. Eldric realized that a well-managed airline could have made the hours pass with dignity, offering seating, timely updates, and meaningful support, but this carrier left passengers to fend for themselves. To protect yourself, seniors should research how airlines handle delays before booking. Look for patterns in reviews. Repeated complaints about disappearing staff, inadequate seating, or unhelpful vouchers are red flags. Contact the airline and ask about procedures for long delays. Do they provide seating for seniors? Are staff trained to assist older passengers? How quickly are food and water vouchers distributed, and are they sufficient for the wait? Being proactive can make the difference between arriving refreshed or exhausted. Eldric learned that planning for delays is just as important as planning for takeoff. By choosing airlines with proven support systems, seniors can reduce fatigue, prevent swelling, and maintain comfort even when schedules go awry. Simple actions, like confirming seating arrangements in waiting areas, carrying a lightweight water bottle, or asking for assistance early, can make long delays manageable. Recognizing airlines with poor delay support before booking is essential for maintaining health, energy, and peace of mind. After 50, these small details have a big impact. The right airline ensures that even unexpected delays become manageable, while the wrong one turns a simple schedule hiccup into hours of unnecessary strain and discomfort. Airline 5, the medically unprepared airline. For seniors, health concerns are never predictable, making airline medical preparedness one of the most important factors when booking a flight. The medically unprepared airline is a carrier that provides little to no public information about crew medical training, rarely mentions the presence or contents of in-flight medical kits, and has a history of slow or uncoordinated responses during emergencies. Reviews from older travelers often note staff uncertainty, unavailable equipment, or delayed first aid. Even a short flight can become risky if a medical situation arises and the crew is unprepared, and the consequences can be severe, especially for those over 50. Eldric Rowan, 69, a silver-haired photographer from Phoenix, experienced this firsthand. On a routine domestic flight, a man seated across the aisle suddenly began struggling to breathe. Panic rippled through the cabin as the crew scrambled, but it was obvious they were unprepared. The nearest visible medical kit was locked, and staff were unsure how to access or use it effectively. Fellow passengers, including Eldric, had to step in to provide basic support while the crew coordinated slowly. Every minute felt tense and dangerous. The situation could have been handled much faster with accessible equipment and properly trained staff, reducing stress, risk, and the potential for lasting complications. Eldric realized that neglecting medical readiness put seniors at real physical and emotional risk, and even minor emergencies can escalate quickly if unaddressed. Medical readiness matters on flights of all lengths. Aging bodies are more vulnerable to sudden complications such as heart irregularities, breathing difficulties, or fainting. Even mild discomfort can become serious without proper support. A crew unfamiliar with senior-specific emergencies or in-flight medical equipment can turn what might have been a manageable situation into a crisis in moments. Beyond the immediate physical risks, witnessing these incidents also increases anxiety, tension, and mental exhaustion, leaving older travelers drained and less confident in their ability to fly safely. Seniors can take proactive steps to avoid airlines with poor medical preparedness. Research airline policies before booking, focusing on crew first aid, CPR certification, and specific training for handling medical emergencies involving older passengers. Read reviews carefully for repeated reports of slow or inadequate responses in emergencies. Contact the airline to ask specific questions. What medical equipment is available on board? Are oxygen masks, defibrillators, and first aid kits accessible? Are crew members trained to assist older passengers? These steps allow seniors to make informed choices and reduce the risk of being caught in a poorly managed medical emergency. Flying with a medically prepared airline is not just about avoiding worst-case scenarios, it's about confidence, dignity, and peace of mind. Knowing that trained staff and proper equipment are available allows seniors to focus on the travel experience rather than fear. Eldric learned that even witnessing one poorly handled medical situation highlighted the importance of this factor. It can transform a routine flight into a tense, exhausting ordeal if ignored. Choosing an airline with strong medical readiness protects both physical and emotional well-being, ensuring that every flight is safe, comfortable, and manageable. After 50, airline medical preparedness isn't optional. It's essential for maintaining energy, health, and peace of mind, so seniors can arrive at their destination ready to explore rather than recovering from avoidable stress and strain. Eldric didn't stop flying, but his approach to travel changed completely. After years of discomfort, poor service, and risky situations in the air, he realized that traveling after 50 isn't about accepting whatever comes, it's about making choices that respect his comfort, safety, and time. He began researching airlines carefully, reading reviews, asking about medical preparedness, seating policies, and delay support before booking. Not every airline is senior-friendly, and knowing which carriers truly honor passengers over 50 transforms travel from stress into freedom, dignity, and confidence. For Eldric, the change was emotional as well as practical. He understood that comfort and well-being are not luxuries, they are rights earned through a lifetime of experience. No longer did he arrive at gates exhausted or tense from stiff seats or unhelpful staff. Planning trips became exciting again, knowing the airlines he chose would support his needs and reduce stress. Boarding felt calmer, and he walked down the jet bridge confident that he had done everything possible to ensure a smooth journey. He also discovered the value of sharing what he learned. Eldric spoke with other travelers about which airlines provide proper support, how to spot red flags, and the importance of medical readiness. Travel after 50 became less about compromise and more about strategy, selecting the right airlines, understanding policies, and prioritizing well-being. This allowed him to reclaim the joy of flying, transforming anxiety into confidence and even inspiration. The payoff is profound. Choosing airlines that respect your age, body, and wisdom prevents discomfort, restores confidence, and reminds seniors that adventure doesn't end with age. Every seat selected thoughtfully, every airline vetted carefully, and every small preparation taken in advance contributes to independence and joy. Travel after 50 can be not just possible but deeply rewarding when approached with knowledge, preparation, and self-respect. Your comfort is earned, not optional. Choose airlines that honor your years, wisdom, and well-being. Don't accept flights that leave you stiff, anxious, or exhausted. Seek carriers that prioritize senior travelers and make every journey an opportunity to feel free and confident. If this helped you, tap like to support other seniors, share with someone over 60 who travels, and subscribe to Senior Travel Adventures. The next video exposes the airport risk thousands of older travelers never see coming, and being prepared can save hours of stress, discomfort, and potential danger.